Hello everyone, myself Anjali Gugle from SB Patil Public School. I am a social science teacher and today I am going to explain the civics lesson number 1, the Indian Constitution for Standard 8. So today we'll begin with the introduction of the Indian Constitution. But before that, let's understand what is the meaning of the term constitution. A constitution is a set of rules as a written document to govern a country. So now let's understand, why does a country need a constitution or a set of rules to govern the country? So to understand this question, let's take an example of the football game. You all may have probably heard of the game or even played this game. As the name of the game suggests, it involves the player's feet. According to the rules of football, if the ball touches the arm of any player except for that of the goalkeeper, then this is considered a foul. So if players start holding the football in their hands and passing it around, then they are not playing football at all. Then rather they are playing the handball game. Similarly, other such games such as hockey or cricket also have rules according to which they are played. Each of these rules help define the game, and they help us distinguish one game from another. As these are fundamental to the game, we can also call them constitutive rules of the game. Similarly, in a society also we have certain constitutive rules which are fundamental to the nature of that society. And these rules differentiate one society from another. Secondly, rules are formulated through consensus in a heterogeneous society and are set in a written form. Consensus here means taking approval, or everybody agrees upon the rules that are set, which are for the welfare and prosperity of the country. When we're talking about the heterogeneous society, India is a heterogeneous society of people of different communities, castes, and creeds. So it is very much important that the interests and welfare of all communities is taken into consideration before setting such rules. And most importantly, all these rules should be based on the fundamental nature of the society or a country we live in. India is a country of unity in diversity. It has diverse religions, communities, people of different castes living together. So we have to live in harmony and peace. And if we really want that, we need a type of a government which is of a democratic form. So if we define democracy, a democracy is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Let's do an activity to understand the term constitutive rules. As I explained earlier, constitutive rules are rules which are set based on some underlying principles or ideals. Let's take an example from your everyday life. Every day you reach school at a particular time, which is same for all. Now this rule of same time is based on the principle of punctuality. If we try to differentiate between a principle and a rule, then we know that a principle internally motivates you to do things that seem to be good or right. So punctuality is something which is needed for all of you to reach school on time so that you all can learn your lessons together. On the other hand, a rule externally compels you through force, threat, or punishment to do the things in the right manner. So in case if you don't reach your school on time, then you are given some kind of a notice or threat that you should be punctual from the next day. Now let's do another activity on making a mind map on why does a country need a constitution. So based on my explanation earlier, there are four important things that lead us to or that help us to decide why does a country need a constitution. Let's look at this mind map on the basic or fundamental features of a constitution and why we need a constitution. First and foremost is the constitutive rules. As I explained you, constitutive rules are based on some underlying basic principles which we feel are morally and ethically correct. Just like I gave you the example of punctuality in the school. Second important feature of constitution is the fundamental principles. Every constitution in the world has some underlying principles which are morally, ethically correct according to the ideals of that particular society or a country. The third most important feature is that it should be consensus based. We may make a set of rules, but if those rules are not agreed upon by everyone, then there is no use of making those rules. For example, in a classroom, if we make a certain rules, a list of rules, and many students are not following those rules because they don't agree to them, then there is no use of those rules, and there is a there is a requirement that all those rules should be discussed again, and then a final draft of rules should be made. Similarly, in a constitution, all the rules are set, all set rules should be agreed upon by the people who are to be governed. They should agree on all those set of rules. So it is one of the most important fundamental feature of constitution that it should be consensus based, which means it should be agreed by all. The last and the fourth and the most important fundamental feature of a constitution on why constitution is important for every country is that all these set of rules to govern a country are for the welfare of the people and prosperity and for the benefit of the people of the country. So now students, I'll again repeat the definition of constitution. A constitution is a written document which has a set of rules and principles agreed upon by the people of the country to govern them. This includes not only the type of government but also an agreement on certain ideas that they all believe the country should uphold. So now we look at the types of government in the world. The reason we are doing this is to understand why every country has a different constitution. Every constitution is based on certain principles, as I explained you earlier, on some ideals and principles that are morally or ethically agreed upon by that particular society in that specific country. So that is why all across the world, in different countries, we have different types of governments. To take India's example, we have a democratic form of government where the people choose their representatives who rule them to govern the country. So, democracy is a type of a government which is of the people, by the people, for the people. On the other hand, dictatorship is a kind of a government wherein there is a dictator, there is a leader, and whatever rules are set by the dictator, everybody has to follow them, and they accept the leadership of the dictator. But in this kind of a government, the people don't have the kind of powers the dictator has. The people don't have that much of power. All the rules are set by the dictator. We can take the example from the Second World War, as Hitler as a dictator of Germany. Then the third kind of government is a republican form of government, just like in the United States of America. In a republican form of government, the president or the bureaucracy is far more stronger than the people. Although they are elected by the people, but once elected, they have more powers to stay in the power and make certain decisions which should be agreed upon by all. On the other hand, if you look at the fourth kind of government, the aristocratic form of government, it is similar to that of dictatorship. In this kind of a government, the nobility or the rich class are the dominant group, and whatever rules they make, everybody follows that. The society follows that. So the nobility or the rich class is more dominant in this kind of a government. Now let's take a look at the next type of government, that is monarchy. In a monarchical form of government, there is a king, and there is a bloodline which is followed, which means after the king dies, his son or his lineage is followed, and only the son of the king will become the king. So whoever becomes a king has the authority and has the right to make the rules for the people. In today's world, we have this example from Great Britain. We have the Queen of England. So monarchical form of government is followed in United Kingdom and in Great Britain. The fourth type of government is, or we should not call it a government, it is called anarchy. Anarchy is a situation where we don't have people, they don't represent their people's representative governing the country. People don't choose their representatives or leaders. Whoever is more powerful or dominant, who is more by force or violence, if they become powerful, they start ruling the or controlling the country. So anarchical form of government is not something which is very healthy for any country. Now let's look at a few more types of governments in this slide. We have theocratic form of government, monarchy and dictatorship I've already explained to you. In a theocratic form of government, a religious leader also plays the role of as a political leader, and he has all the powers to make rules and decisions for the country, and people follow them. On the other hand, in a single party state, a one party has majority and they set the rules which are followed or which are accepted by the people of that country. In direct democracy or pure democracy, it is the people's rule. They choose their representatives, and if they are not happy with the representatives or leaders, they can remove them from their roles and they can re-elect a new leader. But on the other hand, in a parliamentary democracy, we have something known as a ruling party and the opposition party. So there is a discretion, there are some decision which is made before removing a party or the ruling party if the people are not, if the people of the country are not happy with that ruling party. The opposition party can pass no confidence motion to show that the ruling party is not capable to rule or govern the country, so they should step down. Similarly, in the presidential form of democracy, the president is more powerful, the bureaucracy is more powerful, just like in case of United States, where we have the republican form of government. In the previous slides, you learned about the different types of governments, which means all these types of governments have their own constitutions based on certain ideals and principles which are agreed upon by their society. Now look at this activity. Did you know where did democracy first appeared in the world? The first known democracy in the world was in Athens. It was in Greece. Athenian democracy developed around the 5th century BC. The Greek idea of democracy was different from the present day democracy because in Athens, all adult citizens were required to take an active part in the government. So as I was explaining in the different types of government, there was something known as pure democracy or direct democracy. So this was the kind of democracy which was there in Athens. On the other hand, in the present times, we follow the parliamentary democracy, just like in the case of India. Now, the second question is, did you know where was the first republic form of government appeared? So during the same time, the first republican form of government appeared in ancient Rome. The Romans established a government, a republican form of government, in which citizens elected representatives to rule on their behalf. So these are two examples of how the ideas of democracy and republic appeared during the ancient times. Now, this slide gives you a glimpse of the making of the Constitution of India. For your information, the making of the Constituent Assembly, or the group of members who drafted the Constitution of India, was made in the year 1934. And the Constitution of India was drafted in the year 1946 to 1949 by its members. In this picture, you can see Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the first Prime Minister of India, is addressing a group of members in the Constituent Assembly in the year 1946. Let's take a case study of the people's movement in Nepal for democracy. Students, earlier I explained you that every constitution is based on certain ideals and principles which are morally or ethically acceptable by the people of that country. Let's try and understand what we mean by this through two contrasting situations in the recent history of Nepal, a country that borders India on the north. Until quite recently, Nepal was a monarchy. Monarchical form of government, I have already explained you, is a form of government where the king is the ruler, and after the king's death, the son becomes the ruler. So the bloodline is followed and they have the most of the power to govern the country. The previous constitution of Nepal, which had been adopted in the year 1990, reflected the fact that the final authority rested with the king, just like in a monarchical form of government. A people's movement in Nepal fought for several decades to establish democracy, and in 2006 they finally succeeded in putting an end to the powers of the king. Now the people have to write a new constitution to establish Nepal as a democracy. The reason that they do not want to continue with the previous constitution is because it does not reflect the ideals of the country that they want Nepal to be and that they have fought for. In the previous slides, I've explained you some fundamental features of the constitution and why do we need a constitution, and we learned what is a constitution. Now let's look at what is the purpose of the constitution. The purpose of the constitution is that it lays down certain ideals that people aspire to live in. When all the rules are agreed by all, there are certain ideals, some morals, some values, and some ethics which everybody agrees upon, and they aspire to live in a peaceful and harmonious society. So the purpose of the constitution is to lay down such ideals. Secondly, it defines the nature of a country's political system. As I explained you in the previous slides, the different types of governments have different constitutions, and these type of governments are based on certain ideals laid down by the people or accepted by the people. So in a monarchical form of government, you have the kings and the queens ruling, but on the other hand, in a democratic form of a government, it is the people's rule. It's the representatives are chosen by the people, and the rules are that in the democratic form of government is by the people, for the people, of the people. The third purpose of the constitution is it guards us against any misuse of authority by the political leaders. In a constitution, certain set of rules are made so that Whoever is a political leader or whoever is in a power cannot misuse their authority or power against anybody. The fourth most important purpose of the Constitution is that it protects the rights of minorities against domination by majority. For example, in your class, if number of boys are more and number of girls are less, and if the boys are agreeing upon a certain decision and they expect that all should accept those rules, so that would be unfair because the girls also have their right to give their decision. So whatever decision is taken should be made on consensus, and there should be the majority should not force the minorities to accept the rules. Another example is we have the minority communities in our country like the Muslims, the Jains. So they should not be forced to follow or to celebrate festivals of any other religion like of the Hindus or the Christians. The last and the most important purpose of the Constitution is to protect us against any unruly decisions that we might make. For example, certain people may start feeling that an autocratic form of government is more suitable for our country. They might start feeling it because of their own personal experiences. But this could be an unruly decision if many people start following it, and it will be against the Constitution. So the most important purpose of the Constitution is to make sure and make us understand that we should not make any decisions which are unruly and which uh, which might affect the welfare of the country. So here we have the preamble or the introduction of the Constitution of India, which gives us the insight into what the Indian Constitution is like. It declares India as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. If we look at all these terms, sovereign means the rule of the people. It's together people are the power. Socialist means there is no differentiation between the rich and the poor. Secular means that all religions are given equal importance. Democratic means a government which is of the people, by the people, for the people. And republic means that the chosen representatives are powerful and capable enough to govern the country. And they are chosen by the people. And also, the preamble of the Indian Constitution secures all its citizens by providing justice, social, economic, and political, liberty or freedom of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual and the unity and integrity of our nation. So children, this constitution came into being on the 26th of November 1949, and then we adopted this constitution and we celebrate the Republic Day on the 26th of January right from the year 1950. So now let's do a quick recap of the section 1 of the lesson, the Indian Constitution. The first section is why does a country need a constitution? In this section we've learned what is a constitution. A constitution is a set of rules in a written form agreed upon by the people of the country to govern it. We also looked at why does a country need a constitution? It is based on certain fundamental principles, morals and ethics or ideals which are agreed upon by the people of the country, and they are set in a written form based on these fundamental principles. Also, we learned in this lesson that these rules are made on consensus. They are based on consensus, which means it is agreed by all, and all these rules have only one main uh, one main objective, that is to uh, that is they are made for the welfare and prosperity of the country. Also, we looked at the various types of governments in the world, that is monarchical form of government, democratic form of government, republican form of government, aristocratic form of government, theocratic form of government, single party state, pure or direct democracy, parliamentary democracy, and presidential democracy. Also, we learned in this section the main purpose of the Constitution. To do a quick recap on the purpose of the Constitution, let's move on to the next slide. Let us recap the reasons why the Constitution plays an important role in democratic societies by recalling the constitutive rules that you have read and understood in this first section of the lesson. First example is the people of Nepal are writing a new constitution after the success of the people's movement for democracy. Now, constitutive rule is, as per the purpose of the constitution, the first rule is it lays down the ideals that define the kind of country that we want to live in. Now, the second example is Suresh, the class monitor, wrongly picks on Anil, his classmate. So now the purpose of the constitution here is that we should not be the whoever is the leader should not misuse their power. The third example is the girls do not get to play basketball because the boys are majority in the class. So that takes care of the third important purpose of the constitution, that the majority should not be allowed to dominate on the minority. As I gave you the example of a classroom of boys and girls, that boys are boys want to play basketball and the girls are not interested, but then because the majority is agreeing that everybody has to play basketball, then girls also have to play. So here the purpose of the third purpose of the constitution is very clearly explained, that the majority should not be dominating the minority because they also have their own fundamental rights. The fourth example here is Shabnam decides to revise her chapters instead of watching TV. This is one of the most important purpose of the constitution, that it protects us from any unruly decisions which are not good for us or which is not for the welfare of the country. For example, here Shabnam is deciding to revise, instead of deciding, here Shabnam decides to revise her chapters instead of watching TV. That she knows that if she studies and revises her chapters, then only she will be able to give her exam successfully. Okay, so here we should be the fourth and the most important purpose of the constitution is to understand that we should not be taking any such decisions which is not in the welfare of our own self or for the country. So children, this brings us to the end of the first section of the first lesson of civics, the Indian Constitution, and why does a country need a constitution. Thank you.